friends, welcome back to the channel. It's Tori, and today I am just settled in for a cozy bookish chat with all of you because I have decided to do something a little bit different for the month of March. So this last week or so, the fatigue with my Hashimoto's disease has been a lot, and I have had a really hard time just having energy for things. I definitely want to take a slightly different approach than I have in January and February. I'm going to be putting pause on the TBR game for just March for sure. Just to give myself a little bit of a breather, because I can tell when I start getting into not a slump, but a mindset where I just need to give myself pure freedom over my bookshelves. There are some months where I absolutely love having the TBR game guidance and having a more structured approach to my TBR. And then there are months where I can tell that that's just not gonna work. And March is one of the months where I know I need to give myself some freedom. So super excited about that. So what I thought I would do is sit down with you guys and go over a little bit of my reading challenge for 2026 and how it's going. Take a little bit of a look at my shelves, take a look at what my pile of possibilities might look like for March, because I do have some books that I'm excited to possibly read next month, but I am literally just going to let myself do whatever I want. I might play a shelf game that still gives me a lot of freedom to choose. We'll see how I feel about that and vlog that. Right now, as it stands, the only books that I am planning on reading in March are my patron pick, which is Persuasion by Jane Austen, which just so happens to be one of my 2026 priority reads and a classic that I have been desperately wanting to get to. So this one I'm actually super excited to read. I'm thrilled that this won the patron vote because I am definitely in a classics mood recently, and I think that this is the perfect time for me to dip into my next Jane Austen read. At the same time, while I'm in the classics mood, I'm taking advantage of it, and I am continuing my trek through War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I am about 350 pages into this, which is like a quarter of the book, which I feel pretty proud of, you guys. I feel pretty proud of the fact that I have managed to, I feel like, get over the first big hurdle of just settling into this story, because it's such a massive book, and it's such a deeply classic feel. And I'm having a great time with it. I'm really enjoying the read so far, and I am really looking forward to spending some more time on it in March, because February, I didn't have like a specific hard and fast goal for when I wanted to finish this. If it takes me all year, it takes me all year. I'm not too worried about it. It's not going to. I'm not concerned about where I'm at in the book. I actually feel really good about my progress, and I'm enjoying the book. So we're just gonna keep it rolling on that note. So War and Peace, obviously I'll be continuing at some level in March and just kind of reading it whenever the mood strikes me. So those are really the only two that are on the TBR for sure in March, which gives me a lot of room to play with my shelves, which I'm very excited about. So I thought I would share with you guys my pile of possibilities, as they've been saying around the booktube sphere, of some books that might get read in March, and if I don't read any of these, it's totally okay. But these are some that are definitely high on my list in terms of what I've been feeling like reading lately. My friend Casey from Bookishly Bookish and I are thinking about reading Your Letter by Hyun H. Ho. This is a graphic novel, a Korean graphic novel about a girl who goes to a new school. It's definitely a YA story. Goes to a new school, and she finds a letter taped under her desk in a moment when she really needs it. And this just looks incredibly wholesome. And I feel like I need a little bit of graphic novel / manga in my life in March. So this may or may not be the only one that I read, because I have some others in my pile over here. But this is one that I think will be a super fast, fun buddy read and will give me some very cozy, wholesome vibes with a little bit of that emotional undertone that I always love. So that's on there. And as you guys know, one of my big goals for 2026 was to continue series, gosh darn it, because I'm horrible at it. And one of the things that I've realized is I feel like I'm not burning out on fantasy. It doesn't feel like I've been burned out on fantasy before, and that's not what this feels like. I think I'm getting very specific in what kinds of fantasy I want to read right now. I'm really swerving away from a lot of the very mainstream kind of trendy fantasy that's a little bit more just like everyday accessible, if that makes sense. I'm looking for books that are unique, that are really digging a little bit deeper into the character or concept exploration. And so while I'm not burned out on fantasy, I am definitely going to be very careful about which fantasy books I pick up in the next month or two, just because I can tell that I'm burned out on specific types of fantasy, if that makes any sense. On a positive note for fantasy, one of my possibilities for March is book 2 in C.S. Friedman's Coldfire trilogy. I read the first book here in February, and I'm not going to give away. I'm not going to spoil my thoughts because I'll include that in my wrap-up. However, the fact that I am holding up book 2 tells you at least that I am interested in continuing the trilogy. So I don't want to wait too long, honestly. This world is complex enough that I want to jump into the rest of the trilogy pretty quickly after having finished book 1. So this one is very highly likely, I would say, in March. It is longer than book 1, and this is the type of book, or this is the type of writing style, I should say, that feels like you're reading a longer book than you actually are, which, when it's good, is fine. But this one would definitely be more of a quote-unquote chonker for March, which is why I think I'm gonna need some lighter reads like the graphic novels and manhwa. And then, speaking of continuing series, over on the science fiction side of things, I also finished Shards of Earth here in February, and I would like to continue that series as well. This one, even though it's physically pretty chunky, the font's pretty big, and this is more bingeable. This is much more bingeable than this would be. And I really am excited about the idea of finishing these trilogies reading the books pretty close to each other, because that's not something I've been doing in the last couple of years very well, which honestly I think contributes to my burnout a little bit. I think I jump to so many new authors and so many new series all the time that my brain gets tired. And I think I didn't realize that until now. I've kind of targeted that in previous videos I've made about what I'm getting tired of or what I'm struggling with, but I don't think I realized that it was specifically because of that I get burned out. I'd really love to know how you guys feel about that. Do you feel like you enjoy a series more when you read them all close together? Or do you feel like you get more out of it when you leave more time in between each book? Because I do know people that read and enjoy both ways. So I'd be curious to know what you guys think. Let me know. On the graphic novel / manga side of things, I have 2 more volumes of Spy Family that I haven't read yet. And they've just been sitting there. And I've been loving this series. And I have 2 books that I can read from it that I haven't yet. I think part of it was I slowed down a little bit just because I got to the point where I was caught up on everything that had come out, and I didn't want to have to wait so long for each volume, so giving myself a little bit of time to stack up a few books that had come out. So now I have 2, and I think the third one, it would be volume 16, will be coming out pretty soon, I think. And then also I have Island in a Puddle, which I read the first book of last year, months ago, enjoyed, was interested in continuing. I have the next 2 volumes on my shelf, and Still haven't, even though these take me no time to read. So what I might do, I'm thinking about doing a manga reading vlog in March and just cracking through a whole bunch of manga, because that sounds like a good time. I don't know, that might happen. And then finally, on my pile of possibilities, we have a book that I succumbed to the FOMO to buy this book, okay? Like, I don't do that very often, especially not for new releases. I tend to be very picky about new releases, and I like to see kind of some reviews come out and see what my friends think of them. But I've had enough people that I know and trust give this book like an immediate 5 stars that I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist the siren call of purchasing my own copy. And that is The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. I have heard that this is horribly misrepresented by its category tags as romantasy or dark romance, and that it shouldn't be. And I am really interested to read it for myself and find out, because I've heard that this is an insanely dark political intrigue masterpiece of a debut, and I want that. I want all of that. This book, as far as I'm aware, does come with some pretty heavy trigger warnings. And again, for me, it's always how the author handles the content more than the content being involved in the book at all. But I'm excited about this one, you guys. I might drop everything to read this in March, and I'm actually kind of leaning towards that. So yeah, this one's very, very likely going to happen in March, and I'm very excited about it because the FOMO, I'm pretty good at ignoring FOMO on new books. Not this one. For whatever reason, this one calls to me. So we're going to listen to that call, because it doesn't happen too horribly often. And also, just insanely gorgeous cover. I am so excited. I'm so excited to read this, you guys. There are some months where having a TBR and having that guidance is so important. January and February, I needed that, and it was great. And then there are some months where I just need a break and I need my freedom, and that's what we're doing. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys my spreadsheet, my reading spreadsheet, for a couple of reasons. I know that I have shared with you guys I'm doing my Read Your Shelves challenge this year and really trying to limit my book buying, which I've been doing amazing with, you guys. I have only bought 6 books since the beginning of January. At this point last year, I had already bought over 20 books. So I'm really, really excited about that, and it has been really fun to just be super selective about what I'm buying and focus really heavily on getting through the books on my shelves. It's been really fun so far. And a couple of cool milestones. I did a little bit of an unhaul this past week, and I got my total library under 1,000 books, which isn't really here or there. I don't have a specific, oh, I have to have my library under 1,000 books. I just thought that was cool. And then the other thing is down here where it shows the percentage for my read versus unread books in this graph over here. I am now 40% read out of that 1,000, and I have less than 60%, and I also got that unread books number under 600 by unhauling a bunch of books, reading my books in January and February, and that just felt awesome. So my goal for March is literally just to get down into the 580s, and my goal for the year, if I can manage it, would be to get as close to that 50% read mark as humanly possible. The other thing that's really cool is up here on the top of my library, I have this neat graph that shows how my library has grown over time. And as you can see, I have bought a ton of books between 2022 and 2025 and added a lot of books to my library. However, here in 2026, it's reflecting that my book buying ban is going very well, and I'm quite pleased with it. So anyways, that's just kind of the nerdiness of my spreadsheet, but I thought I would share it with you guys for those of you that care. I've DNF'd, I think, 3 or 4 books already in 2026, which feels great. I'm giving myself way more permission to DNF if a book is not working for me, and that's been a really liberating feeling So yeah, overall, the Read Your Shelves challenge in the first 2 months of the year has gone really, really well. And I'm excited about it. The other thing that would be super fun is I have a bunch of review copies that I've been meaning to get to and just was not in the right headspace. And I am very specific about that with review copies because I never want to pick one up and force my way through it, because I always want to give them the best possible chance of becoming a new favorite. And so I have a little stack of review copies on my shelves that I would really like to dip into for March. And again, this is all going into my pile of possibilities, and it's going to depend on what I'm feeling at the time. So anyways, I know that this video probably isn't the most thrilling that I've ever made, but I just wanted to kind of share where I was at with you guys. And I would love to know, what books are you excited about reading in March, if anything? If you're a mood reader, just whatever books that you've been thinking about a lot lately, or that have been, popping up as upcoming reads. If you have a TBR, share what you're excited about reading. But yeah, I was wondering if I was getting burned out on fantasy this last month, but then I read a book in February that's a fantasy that I absolutely freaking loved. So it's not that. I think it's just specific types of fantasy that I'm having a hard time with right now. Having been on BookTube for 6 years now, I've read so many books and I've taste tested so many authors, so many series. I think I really have a solid grasp on what I like to read. Now, that does not mean that books can't jump out and surprise me still. That happens all the time, but I have a kind of a foundational base of, these are things that I love to read, and these are things that typically are not going to work for me unless it's a completely out of the box unique situation and subverts my expectations or whatever. But yeah, that's where we're at. That's what the plan is for March, and I look forward to sharing my vlogs with you guys. I may do another Read It or Unhaul It vlog in March because I really enjoy doing those, and it seems like you guys enjoy those too. Let me know if there's a book on my shelves that I haven't gotten to yet that you're like, Tori, for heaven's sakes, when were you gonna read this book? Because I know that there are quite a few that I've gotten to that you guys have been mentioning, but I know there's a lot more. So I would love to know down in the comments. Let me know that too. What books you think have been on my shelves for too long that I'm going to love and just don't know it yet. Anyways, I hope you guys all have a fabulous week. Thank you for sitting here with me in our little cozy blanket fort, quasi blanket fort. This counts as a blanket fort. We're calling it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful end to your February. I hope that you are reading some 5-star reads, and I will see you in the next video.